all know Saitama is stronger than 99% of other anime characters. Nobody's disputing that. His limitless power means he automatically scales to be stronger than whatever his opponent's strength is. We learn from Dr. Genus and the House of Evolution that God had bestowed humanity limiters. This was to stop people from reaching beyond their own physical capabilities so that they don't hurt themselves or become a monster. Saitama, however, being the main protagonist, decided that he didn't want any limiters, and so he removed them. This meant he became a perfect evolved human. This is how Saitama is able to battle god-level threats in outer space, putting the entire planet at risk if he gets too angry. Which begs the question, what happens when somebody this powerful gets serious? This is all 11 times in the One Punch Man story that Saitama used his serious moves. Oh, and I'll even chuck in an Easter egg one too. Now, we of course have to start with his first serious punch. Just a single one of these punches against a god-level threat in Boros completely negated his collapsing star roaring cannon, an attack that was capable of annihilating an entire planet. I mean, just look at what the shockwave alone from Saitama's punch was capable of. He completely split the clouds on a global scale. If you want to take Boros's collapsing star attack as literal, a supernova is the equivalent in power to a 1028 megaton bomb. And so to help put into perspective just how powerful this punch is, the largest bomb ever made, the Tsar Bomber, is 50 megatons. Now it's easy to understand why Boros's attack could destroy a planet and how Saitama's punch killed him. The terrifying part though, Boros's final words were that Saitama wasn't even using his full power, he was holding back. And trust me, you're gonna want to stick around to the end of this video because he was not lying. The next move is Saitama's serious side hops versus Sonic. Because of how goddamn annoying he was, and to avoid any excessive damage caused by Genos's attempted explosion, Saitama took it upon himself to get serious and fight for real. Sonic created a total of 10 perfect clones using his sheer speed. This feat alone was at least S-class in level, and as stated by Genos, it can only be achieved through harsh training. Well, nobody's training was harsher than Saitama's because my man went bald. And so it's no surprise he easily wiped the floor with Sonic by simply hopping sideways so fast that he created an infinite amount of clones with his after images. The shockwave alone caused by this was too much for even Speeder Sound Sonic to take, thus he was immediately knocked out and took the L. Nothing new there then. After this we moved on to the Monster Association arc where Saitama faced some of his greatest battles yet. The first of which being Elder Centipede, one of the largest monsters in all of One Punch Man. Elder Centipede was at war with Blast, the strongest S-class hero 2 years ago, and joined the Monster Association just so that he could one day get revenge. King used this knowledge to his advantage, however, to lure Elder Centipede towards him, where lo and behold, Saitama was there behind him. Now, despite the likes of Bang, his older brother Bomb, and even Genos doing everything they could to stop this monster, all it did was shed its skin and continued to grow even larger. Yet all it took was a single serious punch from Saitama to completely annihilate the poor dragon level threat. Which brings us on to our next moment. As Saitama makes his way into the Monster Association base to discover the origins of the noise under his flat, he encounters none other than Orochi. Immediately, Orochi took interest in our caped Baldy. Saitama's pressure alone had Orochi shitting bricks. Now remember, King Orochi was specifically created by specially selecting the very strongest and fusing them together through experimentation. This meeting, however, made him believe Saitama would be his perfect sacrifice. Little did he know what he was signing himself up for. Orochi dragged Saitama deep into the center of the earth to a shrine surrounded by lava to show him God's mural. Saitama, however, treats this burning hot lava as a bathtub. Meanwhile, Orochi summons energy from the center of the earth, causing volcanoes across the planet to erupt and the entire thing to shake. He uses this to fire off his Gaia cannon towards Saitama. However, he retaliates with his serious squirt gun. By doing this, Saitama catches the Gaia cannon in his hand and repels it back towards Orochi, completely overpowering him. Thus, the king of the monsters is completely obliterated. And if not for his heart managing to survive this, he'd have died in that moment. And as if this wasn't humbling enough for him, the full picture of the mural was revealed to showcase that Orochi wasn't the guy he thought he was, God is. Following this, Saitama then unleashed his serious punch once again, this time on evil ocean water, who at this point had merged his body with the entire sea. That doesn't mean much, however, as that single punch was enough to split the sea for miles and reduce the monster to just a fraction of its former size. This even shocked the new Elder Centipede, who wondered if a tectonic cataclysm had occurred that destroyed the entire ocean. This next one is exclusively from the webcomic. However, it's in Saitama's bout with Monster Garou where he uses serious headbutt on Garou's oncoming punch, which completely shatters his arm. To be honest, if anything, Garou got off pretty lightly compared to the others. But that all makes sense when you see just how busted these two are when Garou enters his Saitama mode. In this form, the two go head to head with the biggest serious punch we have ever seen. Serious punch squared. However, Blast did manage to teleport both of them into outer space where this happened. The two fists clash in space and create a shockwave so powerful that Blast is sent flying. Without his Guardians of the Galaxy pals, he would have been sent so far he'd have been lost in space forever. Thanks to his heroic last minute actions though, he managed to avoid their punch blowing up the entire planet and every single living organism on it. Unfortunately, the rest of space wasn't quite as lucky. The impact alone destroyed multiple stars, leaving a gaping hole in the middle of space. It's almost impossible to fathom just how much power is required to achieve that, however I can do my best to try and put it into perspective. Let's use our own sun for example, the largest star in our solar system. To completely annihilate that, we would require a sum of TNT larger than the sun itself, resulting in a total of 60 billion trillion tons. It's not even that far-fetched to believe when you see that just the shockwave from their punch sent them flying throughout space. In a matter of seconds, Garou hit the surface of Io, one of Jupiter's moons, meaning the two travelled roughly 628.3 million kilometers from just a single punch almost instantly. Whereas it took NASA's Pioneer 10 for example nearly 2 years. That's just how powerful this serious punch was. However, Saitama wasn't done just yet, as on the moon Io he got a sense of deja vu. After all, being blasted to the moon's nothing new for him. The difference this time is that Saitama was fueled by anger following the death of Genos, and so he had no issues going all out against Cosmic Fear Garou, his most powerful opponent. In an effort to keep Genos' core safe, Saitama declared that all he needed to beat Garou was one hand, thus he used serious table flip. In the webcomic, however, things were a little bit different, as he used it to flip the entire Monster Association base. In spite of that, Murata changed things in the manga and dialed that shit up to 100. Saitama digs 4 fingers into the ground and violently strips the entire moon's surface, shattering it all. To put this into perspective, like I said earlier, the SAR bomber has a blast yield of 50 megatons of TNT. Now, to destroy Earth's moon, you would require around 500 billion SAR bombers just to come close. Now, Io's surface area is even larger than that, meaning just 4 fingers from Saitama can equal at a minimum 500 billion SAR bombers. Now, as the moon begins to be reduced to nothing but rubble, Garou loses all sense of orientation, and so Saitama uses the omnidirectional serious punch, which is almost a combo of serious punch and serious sideways step. This is because Saitama travels from all angles so fast that he creates a series of after images which surround and strike Garou with a serious punch, leaving no room to escape. This is seen as even when he does try and dodge the attack by fleeing through a hyperspace gate, Saitama is already inside coming through. Following this, he even hit Garou with another serious punch, which is when he finally realised that Saitama isn't fair in the slightest. Now, before we talk about Saitama's final and most crazy move yet, did you know that Murata, the artist of One Punch Man, stated on a livestream in 2016 that if Saitama had flown past the moon in his fight with Boros, he would have used a serious fart to fly back to Earth? something he did kinda do after being sent into the sun by Garou, albeit there was no specific serious label attached to it. Now finally we have Saitama's serious sneeze, which completely removed Jupiter's entire gaseous layer, stripping it down to its core. Jupiter is an incredibly dense planet. In fact, it's 2.5 times more dense than all the other planets in our solar system combined. According to Scott Manley, an astrophysicist and YouTuber who has an asteroid named to honour him, it would take somewhere around 20 trillion joules of energy to achieve a feat like this. This means that a single serious sneeze of this scale from Saitama has the capability to, get this, destroy Earth 90 times over. If you don't believe me, here is a picture of Earth in comparison to Jupiter. Another fun fact we can learn from this sneeze is that by knowing a sneeze output is determined by the pressure in the respiratory system and the capacity of one's lung, we can deduce that Saitama should easily be able to dive to the deepest depths of our ocean and back up in a single breath. And that is every time Saitama got serious in the One Punch Man story. Which was your favourite moment? Let me know in the comment section below.